All right, started.
Yeah. Uh-huh. By 2021, it'll be 1 million. By 2022, it'll be 2 million. By 2023, it'll be 3 million. Just keep on counting, yo. Just keep it going. Look at the youth, the ones that be trapping and leaning, cause they ain't got a choice, they ain't got a voice, they ain't got a reason for dreaming. The ones forgotten, the ones you always be breaking. You're killing their dreams, they're drinking the lean to lean away from your fakeness. Can you blame them? They're tired of waiting. Leaders are tomorrow, but today is never vacant. African Union youth, we're here to gather the troops. Strap up your boots, stand for the truth. Entrepreneurship engagement, employment, education. We lacking the basic things. Like this will never be kings and queens, never reach our potential. Wasted like instrumentals, knocked out like dentals. I be trying to rock mentals, changing the world with a pencil. Using the pen to penetrate, be with the beat, what's in our way. Poverty and hunger, one reminder, love each other, stick together, together we can. Just show us what you need, cause Mama Sarah got a plan. Cause by 2021, it'll be 1 million. By 2022, it'll be 2 million. By 2023, it'll be 3 million. Just tell us what you need, cause Mama Sarah got a plan. By 2025, it'll be 5 million. By 2026, it'll be 6 million. By 2027, it'll be 7 million. Just tell us what you need, cause Mama Sarah got a plan. Which plan should we follow next that will lead all of us to the promised land? Things change and what stays the same is the same thing that make things change. Everybody got a part to play, and if you play your part, then we can do things. Play your part, we can be kings. Play your part, we can win rings. The AU got a mission, and me, I share in the vision. So I'm spreading this information by the planting and division. The you cannot be used when we're giving them opportunity. The you cannot be bought when we giving them this unity. Say it now, say it loud, beat on your chest and say it proud. I am the change I wanna see, making my dream reality. Will change the world like it changed me. Engage community daily, employ myself and pay me. That's how Africa raised me. We going in hard for the victory. Ain't nobody be stopping me, ain't nobody be stopping her, ain't nobody be stopping them, ain't nobody be stopping us. This is for Africa, we will win. This is for Africa. For Africa, say it again. By 2021, it'll be 1 million. By 2022, it'll be 2 million. By 2023, it'll be 3 million. Just tell us what you need, cause Mama Sarah got a plan. By 2025, it'll be 5 million. By 2026, it'll be 6 million. By 2027, it'll be 7 million. Just tell us what you need, cause Mama Sarah got a plan. Cause by 2021, it'll be 1 million. By 2022, it'll be 2 million. By 2023, it'll be 3 million. Just tell us what you need, cause Mama Sarah got a plan. By 2025, it'll be 5 million. By 2026, it'll be 6 million. By 2027, it'll be 7 million. Just tell us what you need, cause Mama Sarah got a plan. Mama Sarah got a plan, right? Mama Sarah got a plan. 1 million youth empowered by 2021. African Union, that's what's up.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning from wherever to everyone, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Amanda, and I lead youth engagement at the African Union Youth Division. And I would like to welcome everyone to our Youth Conversation series, which some of you may know as the Youth Corner, which is part of our youth engagements to continue to mobilize, orient, train, activate, and have conversations with young Africans. Welcome, everyone. If you can hear me, just say hey in the chat box. Let me just see you say hey in the chat box if you can hear me. Awesome, awesome. Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone. And today is Good Friday, so we're keeping things, light and sober today. And I want to say, I want to wish everyone who's celebrating Good Friday today very, very a great day as well. I would like to just quickly introduce what we're doing today and hand over to our youth volunteers to take us into today's program. So today we're doing something called YAPOS, the Young African Professional Online Series. And the YAPOS is a sub-series of our AU Youth Corner, which focuses on young professionals and sharing experiences and learning with each other around what it takes to thrive and survive in today's 21st century. And it's the YAPOS is spearheaded by the AUYVC 11th cohort. So I'm sure everyone here knows who the AUYVC is. And we're currently training the 11th cohort, and YAPOS is an integral part of their training where the youth volunteers are driving conversations that will help them with skills in the future. This year with our 11th cohort, we have done things a bit different. We're doing a different methodology. We have introduced a fictitious country called Hurula, which we are working on to take to the Africa we want. And the volunteers have been working tirelessly on the 7 aspirations for this, our country Hurula, which represents the quintessential African country and which takes us to represent a Pan-African country as we move to the Africa we want. And Hurula held their elections last week. The major papers identified the election as one of the most peaceful and fair elections Africa has ever seen. We're very proud. And we were able to elect our first president, which was a female president, Her Excellency Janice Khumalo, who is the president of our country, Hurula. And without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Janice. Her Excellency will take us through the entire program. She will introduce the theme of today's conversation, and she will take us into the next steps of our training. So from all of us at the Youth Division, welcome, and we look forward to a very, very fruitful meeting. Over to you, Janice. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much, Amanda, and good morning to everybody. I'm Janice Khumalo, and thank you, Amanda, for that very wholesome introduction. And I would also like to say thank you to the Youth Division as a whole for creating this amazing space for this discussion today. Without further ado, let me go right into what we're going to be discussing today. So the topic and the theme is what next after AUYVC? We're looking into leveraging your experience for future opportunities and, just talking about next steps. I would just like to say that this is a very, very free space. We would like to have a very interesting conversation, with young African professionals, but we're also going to be looking into discussing establishing networks, becoming an ambassador or an alumni of the AUYVC program, creating opportunities for yourself as well. And on that note, I would like to start by introducing our esteemed speakers for today. Let me start by welcoming Her Excellency, Madam Wala Essam Al-Boushi. She is a Sudanese activist who became the Sudanese Minister of Youth Sport in early September 2019 in the transitional cabinet of Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok. During 2019 Sudanese transition of democracy. Madame Al-Boushi was born in 1986 in Wad Madani. She has a master's degree in advanced engineering mechanics from the Imperial College of London, and she's an alumni of the AU flagship volunteer program, the African Union Volunteer Corps program. Thank you so much for being here with us, Your Excellency. Let's move on to our next speaker. We have Chris Fleming, who works extensively in communications, public relations, media, advocacy, and events management in multiple African countries. He's a certified IT technician with a developed passion and expertise for assisting organizations on how to redefine how they relate to their target audiences. He joined the youth division of the AUC in Ethiopia after being selected as one of the 100 young Africans that formed the sixth cohort. The sixth cohort, I've been hearing so much about the sixth cohort of the African Union Corps in 2016. Welcome, Chris. We are so glad to have you here on the panel. And then let's move on to Yafika Chitanda, who is a communications assistant at the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, working on Pan-African Gender Project, which is aimed at advancing the participation of women in African politics. She previously worked as a volunteer at the African Union Department for Trade Industry under the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat in Addis Ababa, where she worked as a communications officer. Now that we're done with the introductions, thank you so much to all of our illustrious speakers. I would like to move on to our first item on our agenda. We have a very, very fun challenge that we have on TikTok. We are going to be looking at a video that was put together by the AUYVC cohort 11. And we're going to be guessing the names of the African countries based on the images that are being reflected to us. So over to you, Uju, to play the video. And then I'll come back and ask all the participants if they can guess country number 1, 2, and 3. Go ahead. Okay, let's take it back to the chat box. I'm seeing a lot of engagement. Thank you, guys. So someone said the first video, number 1, is Tanzania. Is that correct? Are we on the same page, guys? Someone else said number 1 is Kenya. Was it Kenya? I don't know. Number 1 is Cameroon. That's from Christopher. Christopher, you are right. Number 1 is definitely the amazing and gorgeous country, Cameroon. We have another one. Someone is saying country number 2 is Tanzania. Was it Tanzania? Someone is saying country number 2 is Kenya. I love the fact that everybody can't decide between Tanzania and Kenya. You were right, Nazreen. It is actually Tanzania. Thank you so much. Let's see about the third video. Someone is saying Gabon. Is it Gabon? Did that look like Gabon? I see somebody else is saying Mauritius. I can understand why you think it's Mauritius. Beautiful beaches. Someone is saying Tanzania, Kenya, Morocco. That's new. Okay, I like to see Morocco. So video number 3 was actually Gabon. So thank you to whoever got that correct as well. We're educating each other here. This is what this space is about. You know, I love seeing these videos because it's a visual representation of how everybody sees their countries. So moving on to the next segment, I would like to invite Uju to take over for our first round of questions. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Janice, and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are joining us from. My name is Uju, and I work with the Youth Division, leading education and skills. And we'll be having quite an interesting conversation today with our colleagues who have also gone through the AUYV program. And it's glad to have everyone here join us today. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Yafika, and thank you, Wala. We'll just jump right into the questions. Yafika, I would start off with you. I know that you're part of the 6th cohort, and and what an amazing experience that would have been for you. But looking at your career, going through the AUYV program, it would be good to hear from you what value the program added to you post AUYV, and how beneficial was the training for you in your current position. Yafika, over to you.
Thank you very much, Uju, and happy Good Friday to everyone who celebrates Good Friday. As Uju said, my name is Yafika. I am currently working for the International Institute for Democracy, International IDEA, where we work for fostering democracy across the continent. And yeah, the program, the AUYV program, was very beneficial to me, and is beneficial now in my current work, because then it opens you up to new things, new spaces, especially international spaces, because when you start off, the first days of training, you're just aloof. You think you know what the project opens you up to, but really you don't know. Because then you arrive on your first day of volunteership. I was in Addis, and there's the AU commission. It's huge. You're just like, oh, little me. But then soon you realize that it's big, but it's small at the same time, because then you get to meet all these world leaders, African leaders, you meet mentors. I met a lot of mentors in my in the office where I worked, in the trade office, and you get to be taught how to be diplomatic, for lack of a better term, because I think if you know me, I'm not very diplomatic, but I think with the AU, I have been able to learn how to present myself, how to speak with people of different, levels, if I put it that way. And yeah, before then, I think I took a lot of things for granted, on how networking was important, on how, I think it's small things, even writing an email. You might just end up saying, hey, but then the AUC gives you that thing where you're supposed to, how to present yourself beyond just the hi, how you want to continue relationships. You don't just want to be like, oh, I'll speak to Uju now, and then it ends here. It's a lifelong network of your future career, actually, because this is where your career starts. It's like the foundation that takes you out to the world. So now, if the program has enabled me to be more myself, I guess, to be more aware of what I can bring to the table and what others can bring to me, to enhance what I already have, for the betterment of, for lack of a better word, to building the Africa that we want, and how I fit into that concept of, oh, how do I bring what I've learned from my colleagues from Nigeria or from my colleagues from Zambia to the table? How do I domesticate what I have learned beyond just the experience? I don't know if
Yeah. Just to pick up from what you're saying, I could hear a few things. You talked about the power of mentorship, and you talked about having like the relevant guidance, and you talked about learning some sort of people skills, some soft skills that have been very instrumental for you. Do you mind taking us through how that has, I thought that has caused a shift for you in your career, moving from a young person who just came into the very big building that Addis Ababa, was overwhelmed, and then now doing what you're doing. How have those skills really helped you, to transition your career?
Thank you. So basically, those skills have helped me in the sense that I am able now to be in a meeting room with people, peers or older people, and be able to stand my ground when it comes to work that needs to be done, or what I need to deliver, or what they need to deliver at the end of the day. Because then the program enables you to be in the space where you can, I don't know, negotiate, for lack of a better term, what needs to be done, and stand your ground in terms of, okay, this is what needs to be done, and this is how we're going to do it. Because at the end of the day, when you come in as a young person, you think everything is also big and you don't belong. You feel like there's no space for you, and you constantly doubt yourself that, oh, how am I going to do ABC? Oh, Uju looks like he's been here, he's ABC. And then you realize that, okay, after a while, you start stepping back, you'll be like, okay, everything that I learned actually fits in here. This is how I fit in. You find your own fit in the whole system, because at the end of the day, you are brilliant and you do deserve to be in these spaces that you've been put in. You just need to step back and learn, and then at the same time, combine what you already know to elevate your positions.
Thank you, Yafika. I'm hearing things around coming and not fitting, but still being able to thrive. And I'm just going to move over to Chris very quickly. Yafika has talked about learning diplomatic skills. Yafika has talked about sitting in meetings with people who have a world of experience, and you feel like you don't belong, and you feel like there's no place for you, right? But Chris, it'd be good to hear from you, as someone who has also gone through the program, to say, how has, looking at Yafika's experience and your experience as well, how have you been able to, one, take advantage of the program and maximize all that you've learned to take your career to the next level? But in doing that, and in coming to the commission and working at the youth division, what challenges did you face? Yafika has talked about hers. It would be good to hear from you, your challenges as well, and how you were able to overcome them and maximize the benefits of the program. Chris, over to you.
Thank you, Uju. Thank you, Yafika, as well. I think she spoke very broadly about many of our experiences. As Uju has mentioned, Chris Fleming, and currently a PR and media consultant who was deployed as part of the 6th cohort in 2016 in Addis Ababa. So Uju asked the two-part question, and I think it's fair that I start with the challenge. And to be honest, I think I came into the AU in a very optimistic mindset, and I left with an equally optimistic one. But I did have one major challenge that hit me as soon as I arrived, away from what Yafika has mentioned in terms of how daunting the experience is coming into such a huge organization with so much high-level engagements going on. The biggest challenge for me, especially in the first 2 months, was just adapting to the pace of the work. I had come from a pretty high-paced job here in Eswatini, but joining the AUC, and most in particular the youth division, it was really a step up in terms of the level of expectation and the performance that was expected of me. At the time, I was working as a communications and advocacy associate, and pretty much a lot of things in the division in terms of my department had to be reworked, re-strengthened, and refined. So the pace of the work was extremely daunting, especially at the beginning. But it taught me a few things. I think in many ways, as soon as I realized how high the pace was, I realized that I needed to get better organized, much more organized than I had been before. I needed to have my pulse on literally every aspect of my job and the jobs of my colleagues as well, because as you may know, communications is very multifaceted. You don't work in isolation. So I had to understand what was going on in entrepreneurship, in the AUYVC program itself, in health, and the different other thematic areas that we were working on. The second thing that it taught me was the element of time management. I had to start understanding what my priorities are for any given day, week, or month. Anyone who has worked at the AUC, and I'm sure any other large multinational organization will know that at any given time, you've got 30 things that you have to do, but deciding which of the 30 you need to start and accomplish is often more difficult than you think. So I think over time, I got to understand the element of time management. And then finally, it came to the aspect of really the team collaboration and being able to adapt with the team. The AUC is extremely diverse in terms of ideology, religion, country of origin, and we've all had so many vast experiences, but the key is really coming in with your own values, but also being able to understand that others are doing the same. So collaborating in that kind of environment, especially when it's high paced, is really a challenge. But again, I was very blessed to have a strong team, an understanding team, and they really took me in well. Now, moving on to the second part of the question around how I was able to leverage the opportunities after my deployment. Well, immediately after I completed my deployment a year later, I had the opportunity to do 2 consultancies, more or less at the same time. One was actually with Amanda, and we were working around media consultations, harnessing the demographic dividend, all that work. And then on the other side, I was working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in New Zealand to work on the 2018 edition of the AU Handbook. So I was doing some research work there. And again, because I had spent a year in an extremely high-paced environment and I had found ways to adjust to that, it made juggling those 2 elements quite, it was a challenge, but it was indeed something that we were able to successfully accomplish. So after a few months after my deployment in Addis, I went back to Eswatini, came back home. And I think one of the main things that I really appreciated from the program is the element of professional confidence. You know, when I came back from the AUC after such a demanding time, I really became very confident in my own abilities. And it showed in the kind of jobs that I was applying for when I got back home. The job that I got immediately or a few months after coming back to Eswatini was working as a programs manager for Gwaka Invota, which works with men on issues of health, financial independence, and gender. And that was a senior management position. And till that time, I had done nothing anywhere close to that. But again, because of the principles and the challenges and the exposure that I got at the AUC, I actually became confident in my own abilities and my chances of actually succeeding in such a senior post. And I think that's what's missing in many instances, where we find that we've got the abilities, we've got the skills, we've got the understanding, but it's just that confidence. Can I do it? And I think the AUYVC program gives you a lot of fuel to inject into your future career prospects. Thanks, Uju.
Thank you, Chris. I'm just reminiscing as well, because you, Yafika, myself, we're all from the 6th batch in 2015, and you talked about a few things. You talked about how the expectation can be overwhelming, but then you also gave us nuggets here and there, talking about how adapting to the pace of work, learning time management, learning how to work in a diverse place, and more importantly, building confidence. And that's why I'm going to take my next question to you now, which I would also ask Yafika. How did it feel for you contributing to something that's a lot bigger than you? And by this, I mean working in a division that, you know, supports youth engagement, ensure that young people in Africa will build their capacities. How did it feel for you to contribute to something a lot bigger? And what did that give you in terms of a feeling by the time you left the division?
To be honest with you, Uju, it was simply overwhelming. And I think it made all the hard work, so much more beneficial. I came from a background where I had been working with young people 5 years or so till I joined the division. So the elements of youth related work, youth empowerment, youth development was pretty much ingrained in me as a person, but also in the type of direction that I wanted to take my career in. So it came really at a fitting time to be at a continental level and really have a bird's eye view to what young people are going through in the kingdom. And it really opened my eyes because for the very first time, the struggles of Tanzanian youth or Egyptian youth or youth from South Africa wasn't something that I saw on the news. It was a lived and daily reality. And I think that element of responsibility and that element of, really being trusted with something much, much bigger than yourself really made the 60 and 70-hour weeks all the more worthwhile. Thanks, Uju.
Thank you, Chris. Yafika, same question to you. I know that you were part of the team that worked on the CFTA, and congratulations as well. That was a huge responsibility. But how did it feel for you? We've heard Chris talk about some of the things that he learned and how he had to build confidence. So for you, working in such a huge project, a continental project, how was it for you as a young person, working with a team of experts and technical people to put the CFTA in place? How did that feel for you?
To be quite honest, I'll be honest to say that going into the AFCFTA Secretariat, I was unaware what I was going into as much as I thought I knew. So when I got there, it was like, oh, we're doing this thing. It needs to be implemented next year, the 21st of March. You don't know really. You're just trying to move along with it because everything is already on the ground and you just need to be running with everyone else. You don't know the magnitude of what you're working on until you get closer to the day, and then you're like, oh, so this is what we're doing. And there was just so much buzz with the AFCFTA in the media. You need working with, it was just a lot. And to be quite honest, when you're on the ground, you don't realize how much work you're putting into it or how much impact is going outside. You're just engrossed in, you need to make it a success. And then now, to be quite honest, then I didn't realize how much work we were putting into it until like you're on the outside looking in, you're like, oh, wow, okay, that's what we did, because the implementation happening now, you're just like, we did that. But you didn't know because you're too much engrossed in just making it perfect and you miss out on the important moments of, okay, we are actually working hard for this thing. So yeah, it's something where you look back, you're just like, wow. I don't know, there's you cannot put it in words to be like, oh, I know I had expected ABC, this is what we aimed to achieve. We had the work plans, yes. We had the meetings where we were like, yes, an integrated Africa, this is the market that we need to do. We did the banners, the brochures, the media, but we did not expect it to be at this level of impact of anything really. Even the signing, we were nervous from Kigali. I mean, even now, I'm not in that office, but every time something happens with the CFTA, I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, the baby, But yeah, I mean, I cannot describe the experience that I had beyond wow, because as big as it is, and then you think of yourself that actually I did great, at the end of the day. Sometimes, like they usually say that sometimes the tree that you plant, you never sit under it for shade, someone else will. And that's how the CFTA feels like, because it's a continuation. And I think all of us will one day sit under that tree of the CFTA.
Thank you. Thank you, Yafika. I really love the way you put it around how our small efforts grow to become a huge impact. Her Excellency Wala is on the call with us as well. Your Excellency, it's a pleasure to have you join us, and it's a proud moment for all of us who are part of the AUYV program. And I'm sure that the 11th cohort will be even a lot more inspired to run with their ideas, to continue to contribute to national development. Just picking up from where Chris and Yafika have left it, talking about their professional life and talking about their experiences. Your Excellency, it would be good to hear from you your professional career before and after you were selected for the AUYV, and being a minister, a youth minister at that. I think it would be a moment of inspiration to every young person who is on this call. Your Excellency, over to you. Just to confirm if you can hear us.
Yes, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you very much. Over to you, Excellency.
Yeah, hello guys, I'm very happy to be here with you. It's always for me, it's inspiring to meet the young Africans, because I always say that we as young Africans, we need to work together and not in isolation. And the AUYVC, it's one of those platforms that bring all the young Africans together. And what I like the most about the AUYVC, that, you know, that the different age groups and the different, you know, type of experiences, because the age for the AU to be part of the AUYVC, it could be like from the 18 years old up to 35 years old. So you can find different level of experiences during that program. Someone with 10 years of experience, with someone with 2 years of experience, with someone with 0 years of experience. And I always say that experiences are transferable. You can learn something from someone who's, you know, 0 years of experiences and from someone who has 10 years of experiences. So for me, and I would love to share this for the young Africans who are with us now and who are watching, that take the challenges and don't underestimate anything, because at some point you will use that experience, you know, from, if you accept a work that pay you less money, you will learn something from that job that you will utilize at some point of your life. So my career was very rich, because I always put this in mind, that I'm not gonna look for payment. I'm not gonna look for the environment that I will be working in. And I always believe that I need to take the position that will serve my country. Like the first job that I took in my career, I worked at government. And you know that people always, the young people always don't prefer to work, you know, in the government because of the payment. They pay you like very few amount of money. But for me, I said that no, the government need us, need young people. You know, if we always, who's going to build the country? So the first thing that I took was, I was the first female mechanical engineer in Sudan sugar factory since its establishment in the 1960s. For me, this like, I took the position because I wanted to break the preconceived ideas about women in technology, about women working in rural areas, in isolated areas. And this one of the experiences that I will not change a thing about it. It helped me a lot to grow as a person. It helped me a lot, even to grow in when it comes to my personality. So this one of the posts, I worked as well as the teaching assistant in University of Khartoum. And then when I did my master's degree in the United Kingdom, I worked as a lecturer in the Sudan University. I worked as well in the civil society. I worked in the private sector. You know what, when you have all these experiences. At the end of the day, you can hold a position like a minister. That's why I'm telling you about all the experiences before the AUYVC and then after the AUYVC. And as well, I did lots of volunteering. I was one of the Mandela Washington Fellows, and I was elected as the chairperson for the East African Advisory Board. But for the AUYVC, it provided me the platform to meet leaders, especially, the training in Rwanda. In Rwanda, we met lots of young ministers. We met very high leadership, even the president. And after the AUYVC, of course, I was selected to become the Minister of Youth and Sports in Sudan. And I was the youngest female minister in the history of Sudan. And I think I was among the youngest ministers in the African continent. And for me, it's a message, even for the society, for the young African, that you can be up to the challenge. And we young African, we need to be in the front line as well.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm looking at the chat, and everyone is inspired. Everyone is talking about how they're ready to go out there and make things happen and change things in your country. You've talked about breaking the ceiling, because for me it feels like your whole life is a story. It's a movie of constantly breaking barriers and breaking the ceiling, and it is an inspiration. I saw a quote in the Khartoum Star where you said, "The era of darkness is over, and we are entering a new era, achieved by the efforts of youth and sacrifices, and will continue and will be led by young people through this ministry to make the next history, to be the first democratic government elected after the transition period, majority of the young people." And this is such a powerful statement. I saw that you always call the Ministry of Youth the Ministry of Revolution. What is your word to the volunteers who are here, who are unsure about their AUYV experience and who are unsure about, what's the next thing? What do I do when I get to the AU, or even in my country? What's your word to them? You are a beacon of light. What are you saying to them?
I will tell them, don't be scared. You will become a leader when you do something out of your comfort zone. Go out of your comfort zone. If you do your thing the normal way, you will be a normal person. We need more African leaders. We need the young, used to be in the front line. I always say that we used to complain a lot about the situation in Africa, right? And Africa has all what it takes to be, like a world-class continent. We have everything, and we are rich of the diversity. And what I love the most about the diversity that we have in Africa. Let's connect. And I think the first thing that we need to do is to connect as African, and especially as young African. We need to break all the walls. We need to know each other more. That's why I'm telling them that the AUYVC, it will give you the opportunity to meet young Africans from all over, from across the continent. You will share ideas. You will have a network of friends and brothers and sisters. And as I said, the diversity of experiences. You can find someone like me. When I joined the program, I was already have like many years of experiences. You can find someone with 2 years, but you learn from one another. The experience might not be flowery and rosy, but this part of the journey, you need to tackle the challenges. You need to conquer all the difficulties, because if you'd like to be in the front line, you need to be ready for all this kind of adversity. So it's not going to be rosy. Yes, you will have some challenges, but it's part of the challenge. So I'm telling them that go for it and be ready for it. Broaden your horizon. Don't go with any kind of, preconceived ideas or any kind of judgment, and try to learn as much as you can, and it will open the doors for you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and thank you very much. Take over. That's just what I hear. Young people take over, take responsibility. At this point, we've finished the first round of questions. We will be going over to the second round shortly, but in the meantime, please stay on. I would hand over to my colleague Janice to take over. Thank you very much, panelists.
Thank you so much, Uju, and thank you to all the speakers. Her Excellency, Madam Mola said, take the challenges. Don't underestimate anything. I hope everybody heard that because that really stuck with me. Right now, we're moving on to the musical contest. I like to call it musical ears. We're going to be playing specific segments of songs one at a time. And I want everybody to go into the chats and guess what the name of the song is and the name of the singer. So over to you, Uju, to play the first song, please.
Say sitting in the corner, you're in Dolce and Gabbana. I want boys done hammer. We wearing no Prada. Say sitting in the corner, you're in Dolce and Gabbana. I want boys done hammer. We wearing no Prada. Say
Thank you so much, Uju. I'm reading the chats, and without a doubt, everybody immediately knew that that was WizKid, Don't Dull. Let me see if anybody got it wrong. No, everybody's getting it right. That's good to see you guys, because that song is pretty old, 2011 over there. Let's play the next song. Thank you so much for playing the second song. People didn't need to hear even 2 seconds of it before they already knew that is Koffi Olomide Loy. I love the fact that this song is known by every person from every different country without a shadow of a doubt. These are the wedding songs that all of us can connect on. Okay, dance competition. Thank you so much, Christopher, for mentioning that. Please, can we play the third song, would you? Thank you, Uju. I'm not seeing a lot of engagement in the chats, guys. A lot of people are not familiar with this song and the singer. We have a couple of suggestions. Is this Angelique Kidjo? Some are saying we are lost. Some are crying. Yes, guys. Another person says they didn't understand or they didn't know, but yes, you are right. This is Angelique Kidjo, Africa. Thank you so much for playing this fun, quick game. Back to you, Uju, for the second round of questions.
Thank you very much, Janice. Thank you very much, Excellency. Thank you very much, colleagues. We will be jumping right now into the second phase of our questions. And Your Excellency, I'll be starting off with you again. So there's over 200 people who are currently being trained as part of this year's cohort. And a lot of young people across the continent. The program has gone on for so long, but you talked about networking. You talked about the importance of networking. You talked about meeting people, engaging. I'm sure everyone here would want to know or want to understand how they can do that. And what can they do to take advantage of the alumni network? What can you suggest to them? What ideas, what information can you give to them that will be beneficial to them in taking advantage of this network of amazing, amazing young professionals across the continent? Your Excellency, over to you.
Yes, as I said, networking is key because you are going to meet young Africans from different backgrounds, different years of experience, wide range of years of experience. And it's not only about the professional, experiences. You can find, young Africans who are very keen to different causes. Like you can have, you can do some certain of initiative together. And I'm going to tell you about one of the initiatives that I did in the past with the young African across the continent. But for instance, let's say if you are lawyers, you can have a group of young lawyers across the continent. You can share information, you can share different kind of experience, you can even advocate. If you have something, let's say something happened in Sudan, this network can support their fellows, in Sudan. This is what I always say, we need to work as one. If we talk about, Pan-Africanism, if we talk about Africa, we need to to be, united to tackle challenges together. Let's say if we have like group of fellows who are very, keen to agriculture, they can have their own different networks. They can, share the different techniques and technologies that they use in the different areas of the African continent. I can use some of the techniques that is being used in Cameroon. It could be like very useful, in Sudan, in Northern Africa, and so on. If you would like to travel, like, the smallest thing, if I'd like to travel, I will just pick the phone and I call one of my network. Then you will not feel alone in that country. This is what I say about stay together, and we need to think about, we need to be united. And I always say, when you are in one room with a certain group of people, and you have this mentality, at the end of the day, you will realize that we are very similar. We have the same dreams, we have the same fears, we have the same, like beliefs. So yes, you need to network. And also my advice, like don't group yourself based on those who speak English and those who speak French. And this is one of the mistakes that we always do when group of African people, are in one room. Like those who speak Arabic, they stay together. Those who speak English, stay together. Those who speak French, stay together. I always say, don't underestimate, like even think of the tiniest thing, the details. Like when you mingle together, they are not here to judge your English professionalism, right? We need just to communicate. So don't group yourself based on region. You need, like we are African. We might speak different languages. We might have, different faiths, but at the end of the day, we are brothers and sisters. So as I said, network, verbal, try to share your experiences. Like one of the things that I did in 2016, when I came back from the Mandela Washington Fellowship and I was elected as a board, I was like keen to make sure that we are well connected. So I came up with an initiative. I called it the Mandela Washington Fellows Day. So all the fellows come together and we do some volunteering activities in our community. And at the end of the day, we report everything that is done in the continent, and the stories that I receive, it's like magnificent. Those who helps widows in this isolated area in Cameroon, those who clean the streets, those who go to like, cancer survivors in one of the centers. So this is a kind of spirit that we need as young African. We need to stop complaining. We need to be in the front line. If we don't like the politics, if we complain about, let's say, our leaders, even though we need to be in the front line and to take the responsibility.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I like the way you've put it. We need to be in the front line. I see a comment from Kika saying we complete one another. There is an African proverb that says if you want to go close to something, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you
go far. Exactly. You can, if you would like to go faster, you go alone. If you'd like to go far, you go together.
Exactly. So that's the beauty. That's the Pan-Africanist spirit. And I'm happy you talked about every one of us connecting even for travel. Well, I'm glad that now I have a house in Sudan, and I know that when I'm in Sudan, you would host me. And there's over 200 of us here, including myself. So I guess I have 246 houses in 55 countries of the continent. So you guys prepare. We will be coming. So please be ready to host us. Yes, but thank you very much, Your Excellency. That was really inspirational. Chris, I'm coming over to you, my brother. Her Excellency just told us about how we need to network and what we need to do to maximize our networks. But the last year has been something else. Different people will call it different things. It has been an experience. It has been for so many of us across the world. And this has affected the pre-deployment training for a lot of people. Because I remember Excellency talked about her training in Rwanda. Yourself, Yafika, and I, we were in Joburg for our training in 2015. But this 11th batch have not had that experience. It's probably been quite a struggle for all of them. So how do you think they can maximize the networking opportunity? We know that when people meet, it's a lot easier to connect. You know, you hear the voice, you see the person, you feel them. But now with COVID, that's not the case. What do you think? How would you advise? What would you say to them in terms of maximizing the opportunities that exist from this program? Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Uju, and you make a valid point. You know, we had a big advantage as the sixth cohort and the other cohorts as well that had a chance to actually have a 2-week pre-deployment training, get to see each other face to face, laugh together, and the like. But I think for the 11th cohort, the only advice I can really give is effort. You have to put in the effort, because if you remember very well, Uju, when we were in Joburg, there was no guarantee that we were going to network just by simply being in the same room. You know, we still had to come out of our shells, and we still have to engage with each other. And also, most importantly, we still had to put aside some misconceptions or stereotypes that we may have come into the training with around basically where certain people are coming from in the African context. So I think for the 11th cohort, this is really going to be a challenge to them to make the effort to get in touch. Use all the tools available to you. I like to definitely say a big shout out to LinkedIn. If you're listening right now and you are really trying to get your career set in the right direction, please do yourself a favor and spend as much time on Facebook as you do on LinkedIn. You know, it's not just about going in and, you know, coming out, update your profile, take it seriously, engage, not just with each other as a cohort, but engage with other members of the AUC, for example, or any other influential individuals that you will come into contact with. And Uju, I'd just like to say, you know, before I got deployed, I think I got my letter, and then 3 or 4 months went by before I eventually left for Addis. And in that period, I did something, and I'm just going to share this as an example in terms of getting connected. We had groups on Facebook where some of the volunteers were already establishing themselves. And, you know, many people ignored those groups, but others did not. So by the time we got to Ethiopia, when we're seeing each other again face to face, there was a lot more direct contact that could be harnessed. You know, the rapport had been built in, and, you know, people knew each other. We didn't know each other that well, but we knew each other enough, you know, to offer, you know, our time and our effort. And as you can imagine, we had different experiences when we got to Ethiopia. But I think one of the critical things that happened was that those that were able to form the best networks, those that were able to form the long-lasting, you know, mutual professional respect between each other had a better time because they were able to pull each other out of certain situations. So that is really, really the challenge for the 11th cohort. And, I don't want to underestimate how difficult it is going to be for the cohort. But again, the AUYVC, this is what it's all about. You are chosen because you are the best, not just because you know your job, but also because you are a leader and you are a communicator and you are an individual that is able to go above and beyond the hurdles that exist. So unfortunately, a pandemic has placed a huge hurdle in front of you guys, but at the same time, there is nothing impossible about getting in touch and most importantly, staying that way. Over to you, Uju.
Thank you very much, Chris. I think you just literally picked it from where Her Excellency stopped, starting with doing away with misconceptions that we have about each other, the language barrier. I remember in Joburg, we did an activity around stereotypes, and it was quite interesting to see the way we stereotype each other across the continent. But brilliant. I hear you talking about two things, one professional, the other one social, and how we can maximize social media to be able to connect, and how we can also maximize LinkedIn to move our careers to the next level. Yes, it's a daunting task for this batch, but some of the things that you've talked about, we also mentioned even during the training, how to settle in, how to connect. And you said three key things: adaptability, flexibility, and how to communicate. We have also, we're also going to touch on these things during the training. So thank you, Chris, for starting the conversation that we would go into. But just to pick up from where you left, I would just run quickly to Yafika. Chris and Her Excellency have given us some qualities that young people should have. But let's take it a lot deeper. As professionals, as volunteers, what three qualities do you think that young people or volunteers should have that would be very instrumental in their career projection and that would help them to scale? Yafika, over to you.
Thank you, Uju. Just to add on, I think I'll just use a more local term, like be a sponge, because I believe that if you go into the AUC program or any other job and you are not a sponge, you will not learn, because you come with your own ideas of what it is, and then you miss out on what should be, because as much as you have your own experience, you need other people's experiences as well to be able to enhance and maximize the work that you are doing. So being a sponge, grab as much as possible, whether good or bad. They are all lessons, and these add up to a well-rounded off career, I believe. I think if we weren't sponges when we came to the AU, when we were in Addis or wherever people are deployed, I think we wouldn't have managed. We would have just been like, okay, I think my deployment should end here. I'm ready to go back home. So if you're a sponge, you take everything, you go on home, you cry sometimes. It's okay to cry, too much tears in your eyes. You come back next day, you're fine. That's good. So be a sponge. That's the most important one for me. And then be diligent with your work, like Chris said, learn to be on time, manage your time, do it to the best of your abilities. If you don't know, ask, because asking will never get you wrong. You'll never be wrong by asking, even if it feels like, but I'm asking Chris, but I feel like I'm more qualified than Chris. You cannot know everything. At the end of the day, no one knows everything. So it's always good to reach out to someone, ask them. You never know what light bulb they might switch on in you, you know, because it's through conversation that you realize that, oh, actually, I might solve this. It might seem as venting, but venting sometimes it's good. So when you ask, you'll be able to go further in the AUYC program and your career. And I think the most important one that would link everything that I've said is being humble, you know, because if you're not humble, you won't be able to go and ask Chris to be like, I saw you do ABC, show me, you know. And the career, the work within the commission gives you the opportunity to go beyond what you are. So let's say if you're a communications person, when you go to the AU through the AU system, you realize that you can do admin, you can do logistics, you can do programs. That's where Chris's thing, when it came up of him being a project officer, I was like, oh, you know, because at the end of the day, when you leave, you're an all-rounded professional. It doesn't mean that if you did finance, that means you just stick to the books. No, you don't stick to the numbers. You stick to many other things. And I think you should just have that, okay, this is it. I will be a sponge. I'll grab as much as possible, because you never know. You might be a consultant and you need all these finance, admin, comms, sometimes HR, you know, because this is what the career you're in right now, or the journey you're about to take will lead you to being an institution in your own. Like, it's all encompassing. So yeah, that is the takeaways that I would say that you should have as
Thank you, Yafika. I think these are nuggets. All of these are nuggets, not just from you, but from Chris, from Her Excellency. I feel like we could write a book just on the qualities of an AUYV. And Chris, probably we could think about selling the book as part of our AUYV experience. So let's look at that. Colleagues, please keep your questions coming on the Q&A box. We still have Chris, Yafika, and Her Excellency with us here, and we would go through your questions and also get their expert answers. But at this point, we have we've come to the end of the of this bit before we go into the Q&A, but I would like to hand over to my colleague Janice to take over from here.
Thank you so much, Uju. I think we're going to take at least 5 minutes to look at this quick video that we put together of alumni videos, just giving us a little bit of advice or giving us insight into their different journeys and what we have to look forward to next steps. So over to you, Uju, to play the video.
Union Youth Volunteer Corps in 2015. I was deployed in 2016 in the Department of Economy and Agriculture at the African Union Commission, where I worked with the capacity building project related to multilateral environmental agreements. My AUYVC journey was amazing, and I did set a new horizon for my career in environment and natural resources management. I was retained upon finishing my deployment before I moved to UNESCO in 2019. Where I'm currently serving as an international science consultant for the UNESCO Liaison Office to ECA and UNECA in Addis Ababa. Of course, this is also in addition to other consultancies that I'm currently handling with other UN agencies like the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. I'm really happy and proud to have been part of the AUYVC program, and you too can be part of it. Just keep a watch on the AUYVC career website. For when applications open, you can apply. And a very big congratulations to our new batch. The sky won't even be the limit.
My name is Itumeleng Mpure, and I was part of the Steve Biko batch. Being part of the AUYVC program has had an immense impact on my life. I had grown on a personal and career level. I advise everyone to apply for this program and immerse themselves in Pan-Africanism. Everyone has an opportunity to work towards the Africa that we want. It doesn't matter whether your contribution is big or small, but as long as we all work towards reaching the goals and aspirations of Agenda 2063. Since being on the program, I have gone on to improve and advance in my career and also return to my studies. I advise everyone to please apply for this program and work towards the Africa that we all want.
From Burkina Faso. I'm 37 and I'm from the 4th batch. We also call this batch the 50th anniversary batch. We were trained in Deep Reset in Ethiopia, and I was posted in the Bureau of the Chairperson Partnership Management and Coordination Division. After this time of my voluntary work, I was also given a position as consultant within the same division. But I left later on, and then I ended up coming back at the AU again, working for the African Union International Center for Girls and Women Education, called AUCFR, based in Burkina Faso, and I'm still serving as well.
Hi, my name is Lamina. I'm from the Steve Biko batch, and I was deployed here in Burkina Faso within an African Union structure named SAFCRAD on 2017. And since 2018, I'm working for a GIZ project which cooperates tightly with NEPAD in South Africa. Thank you.
À tous, je suis Monsieur Oscar Ngonkweke Wenceslas du Congo-Brazzaville. Je suis du cohorte 8. Après mon déploiement en tant que jeune volontaire de l'Union africaine, j'ai pu bénéficier d'une opportunité de poursuivre mes études au programme de master en planification et gestion de projet à l'université Kenyatta, ici à Nairobi, au Kenya. J'aimerais remercier également l'Union africaine qui a su mettre en place ce projet pour émanciper la jeunesse africaine. Merci beaucoup. YAPOS Talks. I am AUYV 2021. 1 million by 2021. Ciao.
Thank you. I'm excited to see that people have come through this program and their careers have not been the same. We have a minister, we have a programs manager expert, we have comms expert, including the youth division. Everything is run by young people who have come through this program. And I hope that everybody on this call is not dissuaded. And if you're feeling unsure, just know that there are a lot of young people across the continent who have gone through this program and have gone ahead to do amazing things. So if at any time you doubt yourself, just know that you made the right decision. Janice, over to you.
Back over to you, Mr. Dynamic Uju, because you're supposed to be doing the Q&A section.
All right, thank you. I can see a couple of questions here. Colleagues also, if it's in French, please help me as well to translate. But I will start off with Her Excellency, because I think that the very first question here is directed at you. And it's from Haben Tekle. She's asking, based on your experience, what do you think are the challenges for female leaders? And I think this would also apply to the volunteers who are also coming into such a huge organization. A lot of people come in and you're wondering what is Agenda 2063, what is CESA, what is TISA, and all of these huge acronyms, and particularly for young female professionals. What are the challenges, and how would you also advise that they overcome these challenges?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for the question. I think this is a very brilliant question, like the challenges that we face as female and as young, you know. For me, I always live my life that I always say that we are humans. I don't see colors, religion, or even gender. But the very thing, maybe I felt that there is of sexism, maybe a little bit, when I was a minister. Because when you are young and a female, some people normally don't accept this. But from the other side, you will be like a role model for others to accept that you can be a young person, you can be a female, you can be in the front line, and gradually they will start to believe that, oh, you know, we have like very good examples in such positions. So I think the main challenge is criticism, and the destructive criticism, not the constructive criticism. And sometimes it can go, I describe it as some kind of bullying, like not, because one is destructive, it's form of bullying. So you are going to face this as a young person. As a young person, some people, they will start to question, oh, she's young, maybe she will not be able to do this, you know, especially in the public sector, because all the employees, they are like, maybe some people they spend in the institution for maybe 30 years even, or 30 plus something, and some of them that are even before I was born. So these are the kind of the challenges that you will face. But my advice is like what I did. I decided that I'm not gonna listen to like those who are going just to say like praises about me, because when you always read about praises, you will start to have like these good feelings about yourself, and then you will just relax and sit. And also I decided not to read this kind of destructive criticism, because this as a kind of, you know, it will just give you like negative energy. And I think we as humans, we tend to like to listen more to destructive criticism. So my advice, if you are in a leadership position, just do your work. Don't listen to praises and don't listen to destructive criticism. I always told my media people, bring me the constructive criticism that will help me to, you know, improve my work, that will open my eyes to certain things that I didn't pay attention, because, you know, it was very overwhelming, because especially in Sudan, because as you know, we've been under dictatorship for 30 years, and it was very challenging. The civil service was almost, you know, destroyed. So the work was like too much. As I said, I just, you know, bring me those can open, you know, my and broaden my horizon. The other challenges I think are normal, like for someone to be leading like a group of people who are like way older than you. Here, communication is very key. You know, you have to be like, you have to have a strong character, and at the same, you know, you have to be kind and strong and understanding. So people will respect you because you are in, you know, you are the boss here. But at the same time, you need to be kind, you need to respect people, and you need to listen. You know, one of the things that I decided to do, like to listen to everyone. So I had meetings with all the employees, from the one who got, you know, the entrance of the ministry, those who do the cleaning, to the managers. So have one-to-one conversation with one, or even focus group discussion. You will build this kind of trust and understanding. So communication is very key. Having leadership quality is very key. And as I said, don't listen to destructive criticism as well. Don't listen to praises. Just like have your own standards and try to meet your standards every single day.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. This is quite instrumental, especially for us young people who come into such a huge organization, and at the slightest criticism, we feel like we cannot do it. We feel like we do not have the capacity, or we're not good enough. I think this is a way to reinforce our understanding that we have the capacity to do it. And the fact that we're here counts for it. And you talked about integration. I would just move over to Yafika. I see a question here that's saying, how do you integrate into a huge organization like the AU? I know you had talked about it being overwhelming, but how do you really integrate to understand what's been said and to be able to position yourself to make the best of the opportunity? Yafika, over to you.
Thank you, Uju. I guess, firstly, when for me, I'll speak from my how I did it. So I believe that taking a stand back to learn, to ask how things work is the best point to start. Because for those that have been to the AU, you realize that when you start working, especially when in situations where everyone is busy, at a time when everything is at we need to get things done, it's hard to have time for you to be like, okay, here is what we do, A, B, and C. So you learn as you go. Practically is being thrown in the deep end and taught to swim. But as scary as it sounds, once you take a step back, even in the busyness, there's always a moment to step back and just be like, okay, so this is what they are doing, and this is how I can contribute. Even if it means you asking the busy people. I mean, they're very busy, yes, but there's always a moment to say, okay, help me with ABC, and you learn as you go. So even if you make mistakes, it's fine, because that is also a learning process. To make mistakes, you learn as you go. So you have to be able to be willing to fail initially, but that is a good fail. It's not a bad fail, because you learn. The memos, yes, you don't know how to write a memo. You write something and then you be corrected, which is fine. That is how you integrate. I think even in most organizations, as much as we may know what we think we know about a position, we never really do, especially when it comes to a new workspace, because there's work cultures that are different from what you've learned or what you know. So it's always good to learn to fail in the process while you are trying to adjust, that because that is a good fail at the end of the day. So you integrate by going with the flow, but at the same time finding time to pause and just be like, okay, what do I need to do in order to be able to fit in? As much as your puzzle piece may be the wrong one, but eventually you will be able to integrate in that system that is complex, as big as the AU.
Thank you, Yafika. Hearing you speak, I feel like I'm hearing my head of division, Madame Prudence, speak. Because Madame Prudence is the person who says, what do we need to get this done? And tell me, and we will get it done. And she's always constantly saying, guys, what do you think about this? And that's where that integration comes in, where you know that you're not alone, but you have leadership who's backing you and who supports you. And I'm just going to move over very quickly to Chris. And I'm going to put a few questions together for you, Chris. And it's around, still on integration, like Her Excellency and Yafika have talked about. But this time around is around culture. Cultural integration, work culture as well. So we have a head of division who is approachable, who makes the fun jokes, and we have such a chilled work environment. But I'm speaking for the division. That doesn't apply to every other person or every other division. So volunteers will have very different experiences where they're deployed to. So I saw a question saying it took you 2 months to settle. And what's the attitude of your colleagues? It's still the same thing I'm saying. What would you say to people when they find themselves in an environment that they didn't expect? Either they feel like the bosses are too strict, too tough, or they come to an environment where the boss is so chilled and everyone is just having a good time. So how would you help them to understand cultural integration, right? And also work culture integration. What advice, what tips do you have for them? Over, Chris.
All right, thank you, Uju, and I think Her Excellency Wala and Yafika have already touched on many of these points. But I think one of the most important things to realize is that you don't and you can't pick your boss, not at the AU, not anywhere else. So you get what you get, and as Uju said, we both had the opportunity to work under Madame Prudence, and you know she's a very good leader, especially as a young professional coming in. She's able to push you the right amount of way to actually get you to the next hurdle while understanding some of your current limitations, and I think that's very key. But if you find yourself in a situation where you are not faced with that, I think you need to focus on what you can control. And what you can control is your output and your attitude towards the job. Ultimately, at the AU is going to teach you, or working at the AUC is going to teach you a lot of very key fundamentals. As I mentioned, the first one is that you don't get to pick your boss. And the second one is that only you control your output. So I think, you know, people can sense energy, you know. You can see when someone is not right. And we're talking about people who've been, as Her Excellency had mentioned, some people have been in the job for 30 years. So away from being professionals, these are also people who've lived 50 years on this earth. So they're able to pick up attitude very easily. And I'm sure some of us here, even at our young age, were also able to pick up attitude. So I think that's the first thing that one should focus on. Think of the bigger picture. Why are you there? You know, there's a lot of people, there's thousands of people that are sitting at home who applied for the opportunity, who are not there, and yet you are there. Sure, you may have been a bad hand in terms of the kind of environment that you are in, but at the same time, you still have an attitude and you still have the output that can actually be within your control. So work as hard, try your best to smile, try your best to have a positive attitude, and ultimately, these are really the two key aspects that you need. And also, there's very few departments where you're just working you and your boss. You know, you've got colleagues as well that you're working with. So that's a whole other dynamic that one needs to get into. And also, just to touch on Yafika's point around issues of integration, one of the key tips that I learned for me, and one of the main reasons why I miss working at the AUC, is the elevator. The elevator was, you know, your best friend if you saw it. I rode in that elevator, especially on busy times, maybe even 20 times or 30 times a day. And I'd meet different people in that situation. And I think my first approach to it was what everyone would do. You go into an elevator, you keep your mouth shut, and you wait until you get to the floor you're going to. But after some time, I started realizing that, wait a minute, this is my in-person networking moment. This is where I get to practice my 30-second pitch. How well am I able to introduce myself to someone in under 30 seconds? And you're also talking about someone who works within the same field and the same organization as you. So this is not just a stranger on the street. This is a person that can offer you an opportunity moving forward. This is a person that can help you out in the next meeting. This is a person that can help you out adjusting the city. Because one thing about deployment, in as much as we're also settling into our professional roles, we're also people at the end of the day. And, you know, to the question around taking 2 months, a part of it was getting adjusted to just the city on its own. You know, I'd come from a city where there's 300,000 of us, and now I'm in Ethiopia and there's 10 million people in the city. You know, so a lot of that takes adjusting. So, you know, greet people, say hi, introduce yourself. The cafeteria, anyone who knows the AUC knows that the time I was there, Congo Hall was my spirit animal, because I knew that in that space, I'm going to meet all the high-level people, but I'm also going to find them in a certain level of a comfort zone. So this is not the opportunity for me to back up into my shell. It's the opportunity for me to go and say hi. And people are expecting that, people are expecting that from you. You just arrived, say hi, greet people, find ways to understand and integrate. And again, the stereotypes, guys, we really have to format that part of our brain, because it's a serious hurdle, and you may not say it, but the attitude and the energy that you give off would be very easily picked out, and that could end up influencing how you spend the rest of your 12 months. So go in with the right head, go in with the right attitude, smile as often as you can, greet as often as you can. And then also, lastly, and very importantly, Uju, I have to say this to the 11th cohort, you gotta put in the effort. You got to put in the effort. At the end of the day, we are all there to work. So your output is your biggest and your bestest friend. Your output can increase or decrease your chances of integration. Because if you're putting in the work and you're supporting the team and you are valuable in the team and you're constantly contributing to the goals and the objectives of the team in the short term, in the medium term, but even in the long term, the team will begin to treat you in a very different way, because you're proving your value, and people will want to get along with you. They'll want to make sure that you are doing well so that you can continue moving the output. And in many other cases, they'll also want to get close to you so that they can learn from you, you see. So I think that's the other key element of integration that we often leave behind. You are what you can provide to the team first and foremost. And once you establish that foundation, trust me, everything will fall into place. Thank you, Uju.
Thank you very much, Chris, for those parting words. It felt like I was sitting in another AUYV training and just taking notes for the future. I like the fact that you said put in the work. I think this goes to even all of the AUYVs who are taking part in this training. We understand that it is overwhelming, but please put in the work. Everyone is watching, your teammates are watching, facilitators are watching, the TAs are watching, everyone is watching. And not just because people are watching, but because it is important and because it is what makes a lot of difference. Not just for here, but also for your life, for your current activity. Just put in the work and continue to put in the work. It's going to pay off on the long run. And at this point, I would like to say thank you, a very big thank you to Her Excellency Wala, to Yafika, and to Chris. Couldn't have asked for a better panel of amazing, exceptional people who have gone not just beyond the AUYV program, but have set a mark for all of us. I am inspired, and I want to be like you when I grow up. So please let me know the manual for greatness, and I'm happy to take that on. Our colleagues, we cannot take all of the questions, but we are continuing the conversation on social media. So these are our social media handles. So please put your questions there and we will continue the conversation there. At this point, I would like to hand over to my colleague Janice for the next section. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uju. As Yafika said, I'm trying to be a sponge right now and digesting all of these gems that have been dropped on us. Thank you so much to the speakers once again. And to reiterate what Uju was saying, let's head over to social media because YAPOS Talks is exploding. Let's continue to push this initiative because this is our first session and many more to come. So let's move on to our next segment. We're going back to our TikTok challenge. And once again, thank you to the 11th cohort for sending us so many amazing submissions. So Uju, could we please play the next one and let's get to guessing. There are 3 countries. Let's hear your best guess. Thank you so much for those videos, Uju. I have been reading the chats and having a good time with this. Everybody was guessing the first one was Nigeria. That one was clear. Nobody had any confusion about that. A little bit of confusion on the second video. Some other people were guessing Kenya. I was seeing Nigeria again, but number 2 is definitely Senegal. Congratulations to everybody who got that right. The third one, most confusion. I'm seeing DRC, Botswana, Angola. I'm not too sure how we have managed to bring all those different countries and assume, but that is beautiful, beautiful Malawi as the third one. And then we threw in the last one just to confuse you and throw you off a little bit. I'm seeing someone say Tanzania. I'm seeing Senegal again for the last one, in Ghana, but no, we're back to Nigeria. You know, we just didn't want to make it too easy, just a little bit of confusion for you guys. But thank you so much to everybody who was guessing, and this has been such a fun challenge and so engaging. Thank you so much again to the 11th cohort. We have so many more videos available on TikTok, so everybody who is on TikTok, you can go and put in the hashtag YTalks 2021, and you'll see the rest of the amazing videos. Thank you so much to everybody who has been engaging in the chats. We've been seeing all of your chats and some of your questions. We will try and answer them as we didn't have too much time as well. I'm seeing that we have the Menti chat. People are joining us from all over the place. We see Cameroon, Lesotho, Madagascar, Malawi, Kenya, Nairobi. It's been amazing to be able to engage. And I don't know about you, but I am still digesting all the information that I was receiving today. So on that note, we would like to bring this conversation to a close. I would like to reach back to our speakers to kind of give us a little bit of a short reflection on one last item of advice that you could give to this training session of the 11th cohort. I'm going to start and head over to Her Excellency, Ms. Mwala. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the conversation. So my last advice is, again, skills are transferable. Don't underestimate anything. When you learn how to write a memo, when you are in a higher position, you can, make things right. If someone like write a bad memo, for instance, you can, help them how to write a memo. If you are an engineer and you learn how to solve like those difficult kind of engineering problem, now you can have problem solving, skills. So skills are transferable. Take every opportunity to learn a new thing and a new skill. And as I said, don't listen to criticism, especially destructive criticism, and don't question your ability. You are able if you decided so, and if you are on a learning journey every single day. Be open-minded. Don't go with preconceived ideas. Don't listen to stereotypes. Have your own experience. Broaden your horizon. Communication, as I said, communication is very key, and I don't want to talk much, but I always, if you listen to me, I always end my talks with this, what Nelson Mandela says, because it represents me and should represent all the young African youth. It says, sometimes it falls upon generation to be great. You can be that great generation. Let your greatness blossom. So my advice, my last single word is, let your greatness blossom. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those closing words. We can be that generation. That has stuck with me, and all of your words and advice have been amazing. May I please move on to Chris? Chris, if you could give us a very short, brief, last words of advice from you, other than we've got to put in the effort.
Thanks, Janice. And I mean, everything really stems from that. I think one of the things that I would encourage the 11th cohort and really any other young professional that's currently tuned in is to keep things simple. Do the simple things consistently. The first thing that I would like to talk about, reply to emails, guys. It's often something that you don't really hear about at high levels of engagement in terms of productivity, but don't let emails hang. 2 days, 3 days, stop it. Stop it right now. Reply to every single email. If you do not know the answer, if you are missing certain components to finish the work, say so that work can keep moving on. So that's the first lesson. The second one is take notes, guys. take notes. As much as Yafika talked about being a sponge, no brain can absorb every single thing that is going on. So take notes, whether you want to go old school and grab a pen or paper, or you want to go digital and you've got an iPad, whatever it takes, take some notes and make sure that you review them as much as you can. Number 3, set timelines. Don't have a conversation with your boss or your colleague about you doing a concept note and not putting yourself on the spot when you deliver it. So challenge yourself, you know, don't let things be ambiguous. If there's something that needs to be done and you're speaking to a colleague, tell them, this thing will be ready next week, Tuesday. This thing will be ready tomorrow. So that you also give a person an opportunity to address if maybe the timelines that you're stipulating are too far from when they need it, and then you can adjust. So set timelines, always work within a framework. And then finally, guys, stay humble. You know, stay humble, especially if you get a chance to really maximize in your deployment and you find yourself at the chairperson's office, and one morning you are in Brussels and the other morning you are in Dar, and then the next morning you are in Cape Town. Stay humble, stay focused, read the room, and always understand that everything that you have, there's always a way of taking it to the next level. So as much as you are special, in many ways, you're also not special. So I think you should balance those interests between being confident and being proud. But guys, don't be annoying, you know, stay humble. Your accomplishments are great, but you also need to pace yourself because the professional journey is always longer than you think. Thank you so much, Janice, Uju, Wala, Yafika. It's been a jam as always, and I look forward to engaging with you guys later, but only on LinkedIn though. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris, for some more very practical examples of how we are supposed to be doing better. Reply your emails. It's just that simple. Reply those emails. Don't be annoying. Remember, you are special, but you're also not special. Thank you so much, Chris, for those amazing words. Can I go over to Yafika?
You can go ahead.
Yafika?
Okay, it's me. All right, I can hear you now. There's a breakage. Thank you, everyone. What to add? Okay, I think Wala and Chris have given everything that you did to know. But the one thing that I could say that should be a takeaway on my end is that don't also underestimate that you belong in this space that you currently are in, because that's important. And don't second guess yourself, you know, and there'll be moments where you do, and that's okay. That's just being human, but get back to yourself and focus, because that's very important. And it will take you from, and for a second to an hour to a month to a year throughout the whole process, because that's very important. Because there's sometimes, even me now, I get to second guess myself because of the things that are happening. You end up forgetting what's important, because as much as it may seem personal, it's not. It's just work at the end of the day. So, and you being in that position means that you deserve it, you can do it. You may cry, you may fall.
Janice, I think we lost Yafika.
Okay, unfortunately, I think we've lost Yafika. But we were able to hear her say, don't second guess yourself, which is also an extremely...
Because, you know, 4 down, 8 times, I take away from all of this. Before, yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Yafika. Sorry that you were going in and out a little bit, but we did hear what you had to say, and we really appreciate your words. We've come to the end of this amazing event, and I'd like to say thank you for everybody, all your participants, all the engagement that's been happening on the chats, to all of our amazing and illustrious speakers. This event was brought to you by the AUC and UNICEF, and thank you so much to them for this collaborative effort. We would like to say, please continue the conversation on all of your social media platforms. We look forward to you engaging. And don't forget to tag the AUC Youth Program and UNICEF as well. And we look forward to having more conversations like this for the next session. Until then, it's goodbye from me, Janice Khumalo, and the rest of the team. Thank you so much to Madam Prudence, to Amanda, and everybody else. Thank you so much, speakers. Have a good rest of your Good Friday. And until next time.